Vibrant Health and Wellness Coaching, where my motto is I am lighting the path to a brighter and healthier life. And Vibrant Health and Wellness Coaching is a faith-based coaching company or organization whereby it's definitely, grounded and rooted in the Word of God. That's my platform. However, I just love to let people know that it's not relegated to simply people that are of faith. Okay, that's simply my background and my platform, my foundation. I've been in business now since 2000. Man, time has gone by since 2014, and I have served individuals in terms of health and wellness coaching, also group coaching. And what I do is I really serve as an accountability partner, providing information, resources, support, serving as an advocate for my clients, optimal, sustainable, vibrant health and wellness. And what my heart's desire is to not only provide my clients with information that I source for them, but also to connect them with businesses or individuals that have companies such as Mr. Grant here, that will add to what they are endeavoring to do in terms of taking ownership and possession of their vibrant health and wellness. So that's one of the reasons that I'm starting this initiative, if you would, and Sherwood is actually my first. So what I have you do is simply give us a background synopsis of who you are and what it is that you provide.
Okay. Well, first of all, I need to say thank you, for definitely making me being your first and inviting me to this platform. And bravo for you for all that you have done and are doing. That's a good job. We all are like light workers out here trying to, just help people, any way we can. Most of us are innately blessed with some of these gifts. And it'd be a crime actually not to share it. Actually, some people consider it a sin not to share your gifts. So I definitely, like I say, want to give you, that accolades for definitely following a destiny or path at least that you definitely enjoy. So for myself, I think I got into making this transition in 1999, and I transcend from corporate America to the entrepreneurial path full-time 2003. So I've been doing this since 2003 full-time. As a personal trainer, initially that's what I focused on, but my path took me through a holistic transformation. And that path has opened up the door for me to be able to create, programs, solutions, opportunities, and a lot of education has taken place throughout the years. And I have actually put together a lot of things, throughout the years. And as I started to see the need through interactions with my clients and with people in general, I try to fulfill, the need, and then therefore present really solid foundational solutions. And simple and good is just that. I'm just trying to break things down to keep it really simple and make sure it's good, because what I find is that things that are not sustainable is because it's not enjoyable. It's not simple enough. Sometimes we can be too technical. Sometimes we provide too much information. And sometimes that's not what people want. So want to really get it. Unfortunately, we live in that microwave world. And add up. So, I try to use that to my advantage, to be able to get through to individuals. And, I've been, in my opinion, pretty successful. I've been making my mark for a long time now, and I'm at the peak of really coming out with some powerful things. And I'm looking forward to it coming all together and sharing it.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I did visit your website a couple of times. I feel like I've been binge watching your videos on YouTube. But me,
I'm,
you
I'm
have,
not even sure what I got out there these days.
yeah, no, but I'm telling you, I mean, I look at your history and how long the videos have been, in terms of you publishing to YouTube, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, you have some street creds out there.
Oh yeah. And I'm glad you said that because some
Yeah.
people don't really recognize that,
Well,
especially with this situation with this
mhm,
virus. And I really make it a point to be able to share and try to give some clarity to a lot of things that's shared. And in
right.
my mind, I'm saying,
Mhm,
Dad, I should have some credibility here because I'm not just pulling things out just to be sharing it. I've studied it, I've understood it, I've investigated it, and
mhm,
this has been my tempo for
right.
years, for a couple of decades. I'm literally probably been up since till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning every day, 7 days a week, because this is what I love. And
Right.
so I'm not just tossing out, little crumbs, but I am trying to present it in a simple way. So I appreciate you saying I got a little bit of cred, street cred.
Yeah, definitely. I give you kudos because, man, like I said, I was watching your videos. I went on your website, and then, looking at just the wealth of information that you have out there. And I mean, you have your systems and your structures in place. And I was
Yeah.
so impressed. I'm like, man, I need to have him tutor me.
I share as much as I can, and that's actually one of the things that I endeavor to do is put together a company
Hmm.
that I want other businesses to say, hey, you know what? Look, I can take some notes from that,
Definitely.
and for them to see that it's just the individual person that's actually put this all together, and really see the power of being a collective, unit, actually putting things together to get, for having one purpose, but yes, have a lot of unity amongst
Right.
us, and it's really needed. But if not, I'm a prove that one person can make a difference. So I really will take pride to try to have something very professional. I'm still working on the website, but you're right. I have put a lot of information on there,
Oh my
and I
goodness.
just hope that it's easily digestible. That website is simpleandgoodenterprise.com. So
Yeah.
anybody, definitely there's a section in there for nutrition, where
Hmm.
there's recipes, great recipes. There's video
Yeah.
recipes. There's written recipes. There's an excerpt of for fitness and some
Hmm.
of the fitness programs that I have there. Under the nutrition, I even highlight a couple of my products because I have a beverage and I have a product line actually.
Right.
Under fitness, I have videos that I share, testimonials from my clients, and
Hmm.
actually right now I have a product that's on Amazon. It's not really there per se because
Okay.
I have another website, the
Wow.
bodywedge.com. So I have that going, and I'll be really revving up that. And then I have that for the wellness. A lot of people have not really shared. There's a ton. I'm not sure if you even saw it under the What You Got to Lose tab under wellness. There's a ton of documentary trailers
I
that
saw that.
highlight a bunch of trailers that people probably never heard of. Some they're probably familiar with, but just
Hmm.
trailers to get people interested so they can see, what information is out there to kind of help them with their journey.
And so, if you would speak on preventative measures, why you believe that that's so important and how that can help people be in superposition, whether it's COVID-19 or anything else. Like, what difference does it make when it comes to your diet and your lifestyle in terms of your overall health and wellness?
That's a good question. One of the things that I recognized through my studies is that I really feel that there is only one disease, and I feel that to look at the diseases in different aspects kind of
Hmm.
does it disjustice to a certain point because really you only give a name to some disruption and that
Okay.
becomes a disease once you give it a name. But if
Yeah.
your body never really get afflicted by the disease in a negative way, then
Hmm.
you won't give it a name, so um, understanding that the only reason disease are present is because we can name it, and we only name it because it's causing a disruption in a certain part of the body. And generally, that disruption is affected by our choices, affected by our environment, and even affected by our parents that gave birth to us. So there are things that can affect it, but we have a lot of control as long as we tap back into the universe. So I'm one that the spiritual side, I take the title as a holistic personal trainer because I find that just dealing with the body, that I can definitely help a person to transform and get stronger and get faster, get more agile. But they also needed to have that kind of spirit that was strong, fast, and agile. They had to have a mentality that was strong, fast, and agile. So it's like that, it's all connected. You can't separate it. So when you understand that, then you see that your lifestyle should be predicated to improve all three categories at the same time. So the question is, how can I do that? How can I become more complete and not focus on anything in particular? And that brings us to the spiritual aspect of the story in the Bible, where God supposedly spoke to man and told him what to eat. And when he spoke to that man, he told him exactly what to eat to be more like a God-like person. So he didn't give them false information. He didn't give them a bad diet. He didn't give him a disease that would afflict him. He gave him the best information possible at that time to be more like him. And what he said at Genesis 1:29-30, he said to eat food above the ground that grows in trees that comes from a seed, that has a seed. And that impacted me because I'm like, man, that's the first book of this renowned Bible, and that goes overlooked. That's a very powerful verse that told you exactly what to do to be godlike. And so I try to really keep it that simple. God said, eat things that grows above the ground, whether it's above the ground in the water, whether it's above the ground in the air, that has a seed. And he said, that is your main food. And then in the next verse, he talked about another food source, and he said that was for the animals. So now he differentiate what food was for the human being and what food was for the animals. And every time in the Bible, when there was some sort of conflict and man slipped and slide, all God did was touch his food. He touched Adam's food. He touched Cain's food. He touched the food of Noah to stop those individuals from living such a long period of time. And later on, he said, hey, listen, y'all should know that certain foods are not clean. So don't eat these foods because they're not clean, and gave a prerequisite as to what those animals were. And then later on, he just said, hey, you know what? Eat what you hey, do not judge anybody by what they eat. Let them come in, because hopefully once they get the information of all that I've established in the past, your diets would transform. So if your diets is a disconnect from what I've already established, well, coming in to get this spiritual information and around people that has that same mindset, your transition of your diet should take place too. People fail to do that. They kind of feel that that particular verse later on in the Bible gave them the go to just do whatever they want, consciously. And that's not how it goes, because once again, in the beginning, God talked to this man that he made in his image, and he told him exactly what to eat.
Absolutely.
Like him. So that's where my principle comes in. My principles say, hey, listen, we're not really set up in this world to eat like that 100% of the time. There's too much pollution, there's too much sicknesses, but we are set up that you can eat like that majority of the time, even if it's just half a day, even if it's just half the week. So the whole principle, what I teach, is keeping it simple to eat more of a God-like diet most of the time. And that's not hard, because all that is finding foods that grow above the ground that has a seed in it.
Yes, absolutely. And I have my own testimony because, even though I made that declaration so many years ago, of course, because of tradition in, in terms of the food that my family ate, there was this renewing of my mind that had to happen and just that shift that had to happen. So it was progressive. But I did come to a place, I'll be 56 this year.
Oh, goodness. Good.
And I did come to a place at one point where I start right before well, actually it was the year of my 50th birthday.
Mm-hmm.
And I found myself with joint pains in my, in joints, period. And about, I don't know, maybe about a month before my birthday, that's when the hot flashes kicked in
Mm.
and all this other stuff. And it just so happened, as God would have it, I was watching this program, and this pastor was interviewing MD, this man and his wife. They were both MDs, medical doctors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when he was speaking to the woman, she was talking about how she literally got her menopause and all the symptoms to go away, and she addressed it at the root.
Mm-hmm.
And so I leaned in. I'm like, please let her tell what she did. And she said that she realized that there was this was happening in women because of deficiencies. Number one being magnesium. So I just again leaned in more, like, okay, tell me what you did. So she talked about green smoothies, and she gave her recipe. And when that program was over, I went to the store. I bought all the ingredients. I bought 5 times what she said. Doing the green smoothies that day. And can I tell you, in less than 10 days, the joint pain was gone.
Yeah.
The hot flashes were gone. The excessive cravings for sugar gone.
Yeah.
Just like that. And so that just, piqued my curiosity even more. I'm like, okay, if it worked like that for that, then perhaps there are other things. So I just started reading and, researching on YouTube, the internet, and I actually found a community of natural healers, if you would.
Mm-hmm.
And they had testimonies from people, I'm telling you, from brain cancer,
Yeah.
prostate cancer, pancreas cancer, lung cancer, colon, and I'm talking about from stage 1 to 4,
Yeah.
all reversed,
Yeah.
or the body was placed in superposition to heal itself, because that's what the body needs. It's just the tools to heal
That's it.
itself, because that's what it was created to do. And here I saw all of these people talking about how they, one guy described it as overdosing on nutrition. Yeah, that's how he described it. He actually was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer, and it's been over 13 years now. I still follow him, and yeah. So I mean, the information is out here.
Yes, it is.
What do you think, or what do you feel in your experience and your interactions with clients or potential clients? What is the greatest hurdle that your clients face in terms of whether it's, spiritual, their mindset? What's the number one thing that you find your clients struggle with overcoming?
Well, I want to comment about something you made mention, because this is pretty powerful, because that's a very big issue of
Uh-huh.
belief, having faith that the body is equipped and
Hmm.
designed to constantly live a God-like life. That's
Yeah.
its program. And if you do not give it the tools to be able to replenish yourself, to build
Hmm.
that perfect house as it can, or
Hmm.
as it could tap into, it won't. And that's just that simple, because I've seen, just like you, I've seen the stories, I've met the people, I've talked to individuals, I've talked to the herbologists and healers, and it's amazing how many people have made these transitions. And
Right.
people really don't believe. They don't believe it unless they see it. And though
Mhm.
that's why I went through the path to make it simple. Because I'm like, okay, if you want to see it, then you have to experience it yourself. And in order to experience yourself, it's really simple. And
Yeah.
people do not want to believe things are that simple. You just
Mm.
said it. 10
Mm.
days, all it took you to eliminate some pains and discomforts that you've been
Yeah.
having for a while.
Yes,
And
it
it
is.
is just that quick for
Mhm.
people to start getting results. I've seen it time and time again. I have a program that's called the Sal Smooth Challenge. And all it is challenging a person for 28 days to consume a salad and a smoothie before noon. So it's important to have both a non-dairy smoothie and a meatless salad before noon. And that challenge is just to be able to inspire individuals to eat a raw diet for half of the day. And I tell everyone, I usually don't let them know that it's a raw diet because there's nothing cooked in the salad or smoothie for the most part. So, but that's what you're actually doing. You're actually eating that diet that God kind of implemented for man to eat.
Right.
And you're just doing it half of the day. And I guarantee every individual, if you have a salad and a smoothie for that time period, it'll change your life. It'll change your life. And I've seen it. I've heard it. It's just that simple. So I think the biggest hurdle is to get people to believe that they have an internal power within themselves to truly make a change. The other hurdle, though, is sometimes outside standing in is having people to believe in you or me as a coach or as a person that can provide a little inspiration or knowledge. Sometimes people, especially when it comes to, I think sometimes people of color sometimes look at you and feel like, oh, you don't know no more than I do, or we're not different, and I'm doing the most that I can do, and so nothing really you can say can really change that. And that's really not the case. We all can inspire one another and learn from one another, but those ones that are doing the work, I just want to be heard, because it's just a perspective. One of the things I've learned early on is not to really try to argue about things that's debatable and only share things that's not debatable. And that way it keeps it really simple. So the hurdle is just getting all the aspects all together at one time. Because I would have clients that they would come and work out, they'd work out hard, but their diets were screwed. Then I get the ones that stop working out, but then their diets, they were on top of their diets to make some changes. The biggest hurdle is to get individuals to do it all at one time, because that's when you really get the true transformations.
Got it. So how do you feel about, because I know for me, when I did some research, and I understand what you're saying, it's not just one area, it's a collaboration of things, if you would, or integration of things. What do you think about the empowerment of letting people know which foods are, I don't want to say detrimental, but which foods don't serve them well? Because I like to really just focus on this one word, addiction. And I think that when
What's
people
that word again?
addiction.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, because even for myself, like if I had met you years ago and you would have told me, I'm going to help you get off that sugar, because I was eating a lot of sugar, okay? You couldn't tell me that I would be where I am today. This is a miracle. But like for instance, sugar, I read a study, and it's a peer-reviewed study about what they call the bliss point in terms of how the sugar lights up the brain. And so when people are not aware of how certain foods affect them in a negative way, do you think that when you let them know about that, that's a good way of empowering them so that when they go in the grocery store, they'll make better decisions? If it is, like for me, okay, like you said, there's really only one disease, and it's really inflammation, right? Or mucus, right?
Constipation, inflammation,
Right. And so for me, when I found out all the foods that, contribute to that, I just started weaning myself off of it, finding replacements, if you will. But now I'm like, I don't even need any of the replacements. I like a lot more raw stuff now than I did before. Yeah, but how do you feel about empowering people through it, empowering them with information about what they think? Because I have two categories, okay? Everything that you said that God gave us, that's what I call real food.
Of course.
And then the other stuff I call food-like substances.
Right.
I think
So
that
what I do with that, I really try not to beat up on anybody's habits, any of their addictions. I really I very rarely talk about their addictions.
Okay.
I want them to be honest. So I'm a very transparent and when I say transparent, so when I talk about meat, I call it a dead carcass or a carcass in itself. I'm like, that's what it is.
That's
I,
what it
I
is.
do I do sometimes partake in the carcass, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to call it a pleasure food because it's a carcass.
Mm-hmm.
And even when I eat, I don't eat. I call it amniotic fluids of a chicken.
Ooh.
So I don't mess with eggs anymore. And when we talk
I
about
knew exactly what you were saying when you said that.
right, and then you have the mucus of the cow, the milk. And even though I may have some things that I may partake in that may have it, but once I'm transparent about what it is, then hopefully inspire individuals to say, well, if I eat that, let me not eat a lot of dead carcasses all the time, or eat the carcass all the time. When I wake up, through the middle of the day, at the end of the day, I'm eating this carcass. Let me not wake up and feel like I need to have this amniotic fluid that's clogging up my system, or better yet, let me not always, every day, always eating this mucus of the cow. So I just call it what it is and let the individual at least rationalize and say, okay, this is what it is. But my focus is, let's talk about the things that you don't eat that you need
Mm-hmm.
to eat. And let's talk about the reasons why you need to eat it. Why we need to eat water-based food is because we are mostly water, and we need what you are, what you eat. And if you consume mostly water-based foods, then you're supporting your mostly water-based body. And the food has the nutrients. They grow in the ground, and your body comes from the ground, because what you are, that's what you go back to it. If you die, you become dust and you back into the ground. So if
Right.
all the nutrients is in the ground, what foods can give you nutrients from the ground? So so when you start thinking about, oh, I need to make these choices in order to have longevity and vitality, then the things don't fit in that category. They kind of just don't make it in that category, because we're having this conversation about what foods can improve my longevity and my vitality that make me more godlike. And once we put those foods in a category, then I always want the person to always make sure they look at that group and grab
Mm-hmm.
foods from it. So if you go and pick the not so good foods, then
Right.
fine, they're not so good. You might have an addiction to them or an attraction to them, but
Mm-hmm.
you need to tell yourself they're not so good. And if I eat them, I'm gonna feel this way. But if I eat these foods, I'm gonna feel this way. So now it
Yeah.
becomes, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to say, well, if I want to have energy, if I don't want to feel groggy, if I don't want to have mood swings, if I don't want to feel like my joints hurt, if I don't want to feel like I can't breathe, if I don't want to feel like I can't think, well, let's look at what you eat. And if you
Mm-hmm.
change what you eat and those things go away, and then you go back to eating them and you get those things back again, then you be like, okay, wait a minute. And is it my food? Yeah,
Right.
it's your food. You can't
Yeah.
fight that. So the reality is food affects you in so many ways. And it's a crime that our medical system don't talk about it more. And it
Right.
makes it seem that this is the alternative. But you
Right.
just said it earlier. This is real. This is what we're supposed to have been doing. And in time, we got people back in the day, I think Hippocrates said, let thy food be thy medicine and thy medicine be thy food,
Yes.
and that's how we lived for a long period of time,
Right.
allowing the food and the earth, we traded it like currency. It was so
Yeah.
powerful. But now it's a shame. We don't know what real food is. And so then
No.
therefore the addiction is easy because it's chemical based.
Right.
And the sickness is easy because there's no nutrients. It doesn't come from the ground. It's not live. So it
Right.
becomes easy to be able to talk about the things that we should eat and then let a person think about, well, do your food choices match the things we should eat? I ain't here to tell you to put down that chocolate. I ain't here to tell you to put down that sweet. I don't candy. I'm not here trying to talk about it. But let's talk about what you should be doing, because now we can't debate on this. You can't
Right.
debate me and say plant-based foods are not beneficial for your body. No
Okay.
one can ever debate me on that. You can debate me on whether or not this cheeseburger or this fried chicken or these French fries, you can debate me whether or not you're saying that's good or okay for your
Right.
body. So I'm not going to have that debate. But this right here, you can't debate me.
Mm-hmm.
And if this makes you feel good all the time, then you want to implement into your diet as much as you can. If you don't, it's okay, because you don't have to have a perfect diet, but you can do a whole lot to be able to alleviate a lot of the dis-ease and the discomforts and the early deaths. There's a lot of things you can do. And I think this virus even gives us a eye-opening, because people don't look at, say, hey, you know what, does my diet really affect how diseases run through my system? It does. All the time it does. This is nothing new. Diabetes, that's a failure of your pancreas. Heart disease, that's the failure of clogging that can take place in your arteries and in your blood. So this should be common knowledge, but unfortunately it's not. It's really easy. All you got to do is just kind of listen to the right people, and they'll tell you the things that kind of make sense.
Exactly. Do you belong to a network of counselors or people in the same, that flow in the same vein as you? Is there some type of network where people can tap in to get? I mean, you are a network all by yourself.
Yeah, right. And unfortunately, I probably feel that way about myself. So I'm kind of a loner to that extent. I've tried to tap into other people, and sometimes things, there are people definitely I gravitate towards, but I have this set focus on what I want to accomplish, that I want people to kind of get on my page. And if we mend together, great. Otherwise, I have a destination. I have this destiny that I'm trying to reach. And for that reason, I don't really get into the circles as much as I probably should, to a certain degree.
Yeah, but you're being focused right now. Yeah, you're being focused. Yeah, you got some things that you need to get off the ground. So
yes,
I
that's
understand
exactly.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love talking to you. I mean, I hear your passion, and there are times that I do kind of come over to your social media platforms, and man, sometimes it's amazing to see, or to witness the comments, and it's almost like some people, I don't want to generalize, but some people, it appears that they want to argue about it. I mean, I haven't known you long, but I hear your passion in terms of you desiring to help people.
Right.
I can't understand, like, what's wrong with that,
Well, and I embrace that, because it helps me to fine tune how to communicate with individuals. At a certain point, I've always, like, generally, the reason why I'm focused of what I put together, because I look at people in a couple of different ways. So there are people that are like this.
Okay.
I'm saying something, they can't see me, but they can hear me. Then there are people that can see me, but they can't hear me. And then there are the people that has both going on. All right. They can't see, they can't hear, they just totally just out of it. So my objective is, there are people like this.
Okay.
Or people like this, that they can hear some and they can see some. And those are the people that I want to be able to connect with, because they got friends like this that they can communicate with. They got friends like this that they can communicate well with. So my whole objective was first to be able to touch into the ones that want information. But then it always become a passion, or I don't know, I get so influenced to talk to individuals that are fighting it. And I'm like, for what? There's nothing I'm going to put out there for you to fight. I'm going to it's going to be real simple in my book, and it may not seem to be simple. And then therefore I try to pull out my tools, understanding, to be able to deliberate a message that you can't look at it and say, no, you're wrong. You can say, that's a pretty good perspective. And you know what? I should give that a thought. But I'm fighting that at times, especially with this situation. But the thing is that people don't want to listen, unfortunately, and not, like you say, not to generalize, but just the people that don't listen seems to be the loudest. That's all it is. They're not probably in numbers. They're probably not the most. They just seem to be the loudest. And that's cool. That what I found in stories is that Jesus Christ went after those people. He went after those individuals that had all the problems in the world and did all the negative things, and he turned them around and gave them perspectives. And guess what? they change. So I don't never give up on people because I know that we truly are godlike. So then therefore, as our transitions, we're trying to improve all the time. It's innate. So I'm a very optimistic about people, and so I give them a chance, but unfortunately they can get disrespectful at times. And so, I got to distance myself from that. But,
I didn't want to say anything.
oh yeah. I know how to handle that. I tell people, hey, listen, I'm a nice guy. A lot of people, if you know me, I'm a nice guy. But I am still that kind of guy. You don't really want to rub the wrong way because I'm a Leo by nature. I'm a West Sider in Chicago, so I don't play all that.
So when you were talking about, how you have these different segments or categories of people, who do you see as being the most frequent client? Is it usually women that then talk to their husbands, or do you see any patterns at all?
You know what? At one point, when I first came into personal training back in 2004, 2003, I gravitated to really wanting to help people that had weight issues. So I would get the ladies that were, had a nice size on them because I knew that I could help them to reduce that. And if they wanted to reduce that size, I knew I can do that pretty easy. And as time went on, and that became easy enough for me to share information, then it was still a battle. It was my first battle because they generally, people with weight issues generally have bad habits. And they just need to break the habits, but they have to have a reason to break the habits. And then that's where the sickness comes in. And so now, therefore, they're trying to eliminate the sickness. And in order to eliminate the sickness, they got to break the bad habits, which will actually have them to minimize the weight. But what started to happen is that as I continued to speak, then, and encourage individuals, then there were the people that were kind of challenged with sicknesses, and I would get them. And that sometimes doesn't have anything to do with weight or a lot of weight, at all. So I think throughout the time, I've had all the demographics of people, and so presently, I have an equal amount of male and female, actually. And surprisingly, I don't have a lot of obese clients anymore. I'm not sure what happened with that. I'm not sure if I helped out a whole lot, but I guess it's all in phases. So right now, I'm just trying to help people with a holistic lifestyle. And so, I got a couple more websites that you probably haven't even seen that are in development and coming along to be able to put some programs out there.
So just to give the viewers insight on what your process is like, is there an intake that you do with your clients to find out? You have a questionnaire that they fill out? What is it that they exactly do? You have a face-to-face with them? Do you provide virtual sessions?
So basically, in general, what would happen is that I'll always get referrals. So I used to do a lot of sharing of information. I used to have a pretty robust newsletter back in the day. And I've always been a networker. So I build up a lot of followers, LinkedIn, Facebook, and things of that sort. So I've kind of covered those grounds for right now. So what I generally do is I really get a lot of referrals. Someone say, hey, listen, you want to get the job done? I get that referral. And when I get that referral, they just generally tell me what they prescribe me to do, whether they have some sort of sickness or ailment, or if they're just trying to get in better health, or they're trying to improve their habits, or they're just trying to get better athletically. So at that point, we just have a conversation. Generally, I have a lot of phone conversations with individuals. And then once we meet, I go through an evaluation. I go through a full body evaluation and see about their strengths and their weaknesses. I haven't really did anything via video. Yeah. But I think I'll be adding that to the database soon. Since of all this, I've used it a lot more. So it still can be very personal. I've been doing virtual training throughout this. So a lot of my clients still utilize me through virtual training. And it allows me still to see where you're at, and I can evaluate you. But I still like the personal contact. So there are certain things I'm not trying to really delve into a whole
Okay.
lot because my
Okay.
time is really precious to me. And I do have some really large programs and plans, solutions that I'm working on that
Mm-hmm.
should be able to really affect the masses. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to really hone into that. At the same time, still I got to have these interactions. I tell my friends and my associates all the time, y'all better soak me up right now because I'm not going to be
How would you
available. You know.
inform or advise these people who are interested in, getting a jump start, if you would, on their health? Like,
So that's a good question because that's a majority of individuals. It's like, where do they start? Or they want
yeah.
to know, where can I start? I do agree with actual, I hate to use the word detox and cleansing
Mm-hmm.
because if you're eating the proper foods, your body goes through a natural cleansing anyway.
Okay.
But it is the word to use because we live in such an unnatural environment. All right.
Yeah.
So the foods that we eat, they are so unnatural that we do need to take time out to purge and cleanse it out. So I
Yeah.
really feel like we need to be doing things to push things out of our system
Mm-hmm.
because those things staying stagnant in your system throws it off, and you got parasites, uh, that, and this is how a lot of addiction starts. So you want
Right.
to really kick a lot of the bad stuff out on purpose. And surprisingly, the biggest issue that I find with clients is not people not having enough bowel movements. They need to have more bowel movements in the
Can
course
you
of
give
a
me
day.
high five?
Yeah,
High
that's what I'm saying. So we can get people's bowel movements moving, and they getting like 3 and 4 a day. Man, that'll change your life in itself. But
Look.
so, but and that these are very simple lifestyle changes that can take place to do that. So I think, to answer your question initially, giving our children and our loved ones, associates, the knowledge of being able to, or support system to take care of self.
Yeah.
That's the greatest. I mean, you to be able. I mean, I look at my children, my daughter, and I look at how much information she's going to have at
Mm-hmm.
her access and how much she's been introduced to, that I'm like, you can't go wrong. If you embrace it or just be introduced to it, you will have so many tools in your toolbox. So I
Yeah.
think knowledge is truly powerful. And
Yeah.
I think the more we can pass on to our offsprings, the more we can empower them to make good choices. And that
Yeah.
will have people to think about going back to, I need to plant more foods in a garden. I need to have a garden, or I need to get some land to be able to grow a garden so I can eat the food from my garden the majority of the time. That
Yeah.
in itself would change the whole environment just by growing a garden, eating your food, and cooking it yourself. So
Yeah.
with this little quarantine that's taking place, if you are not taking some time out to prepare your meals, man, you're doing some disjustice to yourself right now. If you are not looking at performing some sort of cleanse, because I really do think cleansing
Mm-hmm.
can help with the spirit.
Oh yeah.
Cleansing can give you
Everything.
more clarity.
Yeah.
Cleansing can help flush out things out your system. The question is, and the debatable thing is, what should I do to cleanse? Now that becomes a
Mm-hmm.
debate. So
Mm-hmm.
factual, we can't debate that cleansing will help you. You can't debate me about that. What
Right.
kind of cleanse that you should use, now that could be a debate,
Yeah.
because you got some people that say, hey, drink this tea and that'll help. You got some people say, hey, drink this shake, that was help. Take these pills, that'll help. Take these herbs. So we can talk about that. But the best way to cleanse yourself is to use food. And that's the reason why I created the Sour Smooth Challenge. Because if you
Mm-hmm.
do that in the morning time, you're
Mm-hmm.
getting water-based nutrients, and you're going to inspire your system to eliminate more because you took in water-based nutrients when you get up, and that's when you want to use the bathroom. That's when you want to eliminate. So if you
Yeah.
eat foods to help stimulate more eliminations at that time, you're going to get
Absolutely.
more bowel movements. And when you get those toxins out your system, I guarantee you for the rest of the day, you're going to be a little bit more conscientious as to what choices you make to either help remove more toxins, or to say, Dad, you know what, I'm gonna clog myself back up and feel terrible, so I have to go through this process again. And that's fine if you do that, because the more you eliminate toxins out,
Mm-hmm.
clearer your thought pattern will be.
Yeah, you're absolutely
That,
right.
that's
I mean,
where, yeah.
yeah, I can attest to that because I'm intentional about cleansing on a regular basis. And I can tell you that every time I feel like surely I can't feel better, right? Every single time I feel like I've gone to another level in
Oh
terms
yeah.
of clarity,
Yep.
my sleep, the quality of my sleep, my energy level. I mean, I can go on and on.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and
It does.
and when I think about it, I don't know about you, but back in the day, our grandmothers and great grandmothers, they did, seasonal cleansing, if you would. Do you think the quality of the food has changed as much, that much in
Oh
terms?
my goodness. I,
Yeah, I
I,
want
I
you to speak on that.
I put a meme together that says that
Mhm.
one of the healing factors in this lifetime is for our young to know what real food look like, smell like, and taste like. And the only way they're going to know what real food look like, smell like, and taste like is if their parents or people of old tell
Mm.
them about it. Otherwise, they have no idea. So when they get a peach right now, and you eat that, you bite into the peach and the peach is dry and the seed just fall out. I'm like, that ain't what we used to eat 30
Oh,
years
I
ago.
mean, you can have the juice
You,
like all the time.
yes, the seed, you sucking on the seed because the meat is around there and you trying to get all of it. That's a real peach. And even then,
Making me hungry.
it could have been better. It could have that peach might could have been better. It could have been sweeter. But at
Mhm.
least we know what at least have a measurement of what real food look like, what it smell like. When you smell certain fruits, you get a good grape and you smell it like this smell like wine. You smell right now, you get some grapes, it don't smell like wine, but back in the day, you get some grapes, you're like, man, you can see how they made wine out of this.
Yeah,
And it's just such a detachment that
yeah.
we need to go back to really growing our own foods, understanding what GMO is, understanding that we need to uh, clean or purge our garden or our ground in our yard so that we can grow food. We all should be able to grow food, period. That's just the bottom line. That's how we take care of ourselves. And
Right.
that was one of the commands that was given supposedly in that story of the Bible to the first man and the first woman was, hey, I'm gonna give you this garden, take care of
Mhm.
it and make it
Mhm.
plentiful throughout the world. So when we look at what we're supposed to be doing, we're supposed to be eating food that comes from the ground, that's mostly seed, and we're supposed to be making this place a beautiful place that's growing food. If we just focus on those things half of the day or half of the week, this world would change. So there's some really simple things to do. And I just hope that people will take at least this time to kind of
Mhm.
reflect on it
Yeah.
instead of looking for rationale to be fearful, to be
Mhm.
scared, and to pass on the excuses to why they're not looking at their health or why no one should look at their own health because you can't do anything about it because this virus is gonna get me. Oh, come on. This virus is the ideal virus to have people to start thinking about their health because unfortunately it does attack to those that are what's the word they call it at
Existing
risk.
conditions.
Yeah,
What?
those at risk. Yeah, those that are high risk, it does has an affinity to affect those even more so.
Yeah.
And you can make those changes, but people, we don't want to be responsible. So I understand that. Sometimes I really don't want to get in that because people get offended. I'm like, but you know what? People been dying of diseases all the time because they've been making poor choices, and not
Mhm.
enough of us are saying, hey, let's stop this. And so there should be a point that we should be looking around in the churches, in the schools, in our workforce, and we should be able to look and see good health. We
Yes.
don't. We should be able to see it like through the masses, but we don't.
Yeah.
I can look at individuals and look at their eyes and look at their lips and look how they walk and look how they and tell that, man,
Something is
we
off.
get better. There's some just there's some things out of alignment.
Mhm.
And even me myself, I'm working on things, but I sit in the chair all the time trying to work and do things, and it got my hips all messed up. So I got to try even harder to try to work on these things, but it's difficult at times.
Yeah.
But I would be more inspired if I knew that other people we're
Mm-hmm.
also trying to make some changes too. So
Yeah.
we all need to motivate one another. So
Yeah.
it just takes some time.
Like I said, we have a lot of time now. What would you say to the families or the mothers and fathers who, life was just, so it was just so much on them that they really couldn't even see to make the provisions or to shift, if you would. What are some things that people can put into place right now so that when things are up and running again, they'll have these, this foundation laid? What are some
Right.
things? Yeah.
Right. So, I used to have a hashtag that was very popular that I used all the time that said, change your diet and read a book. And I
Hmm.
think that right now, um, picking up something that could actually educate you in a way that you feel is inspire you to make a transformation is
Okay.
very powerful. Take some of this time to read something to educate yourself. I'm not saying just read something that's talking about a disease or a virus that's taking place.
Right.
I'm saying like pick up a cookbook, read how to make a good recipe, pick up a book about, the heart and understand what the heart does, or pick up
Yeah.
about anatomy of the body, understand
Yeah.
what that, take the time to educate yourself. The only reason that people are misused and abused is because they
Mhm.
lack knowledge, period. If
Mhm.
you have the knowledge, no one could misuse and abuse you. But it's easy to misuse and abuse people that are ignorant and that people are not intelligent. So we need to start to tap into that and change that. And I think one of the key factors to do so is eating food that got knowledge. So once again, things that grows from the ground, the
Mhm.
nutrients and the minerals, that's knowledge. Those are
Yeah.
keys. Those are elements that has things programmed in you. And when you put it in, it becomes an enlightenment. You
Light.
becomes you clear. So
Yeah.
knowing that your food have that type of power, knowing
Yeah.
that the color of your food, the primary colors compared to secondary color, they have different powers. You can start to regulate how much power, how much knowledge you take into your body physically,
Mhm.
then you take into it mentally, and
Mhm.
then once you take into physical knowledge, and then
Mhm.
you take time to study the mental knowledge, then you sit back and you let your spirit take over. And
Yeah.
this is what we need to start to do on a regular basis to be
Yeah.
able to complete that wholeness. And the other factor is that we need to commune with one another. We
Mhm.
all have different innate talents. No
Yeah.
matter who you are, you have a talent that you can teach to someone, and your exchange should be to learn from that person as you teach them something. So
Yeah.
please have something that you can share as a barter with someone else. And if
Yeah.
you do not have that part of your regimen, you're missing out on what life is all about. How are you going to come out here and make any exchanges and extract anything from someone and you don't have nothing to give? So change your diet and read a book. And I feel that once you understand that we are here to be able to support and help one another and eventually become unified, then things will change.
Yeah. Because I do believe knowledge is power. I believe it's more powerful when we put it into action.
Yeah. So my tagline, I used to have, man, I have to tell you, I've did so much in time. I used to have a radio show called "What You Got to Lose," and my tagline will always be at the end of the show: "Knowledge is power, but accurate knowledge is revolutionary." And what I meant by that is that, yeah, there are individuals. I will always talk to individuals. We have this discussion about food, and the first thing they tell me, "Oh, I know how to eat. I eat right. I know what clean is and stuff like
Mhm.
that." I'm like, well, humor me. What do you eat? And when they start
Right.
to tell me about that carcass, the first thing come out their mouth, I'm like, oh, come on. Nah, you don't really know. I can't say that to them. But in my mom, like, no, you don't really know. And then the ones that do know, they sometimes don't know. And it's
Right.
not like I am the person that is the judge as to what's eating right and what's not, but I am the one that I'm very vocal about what has been prescribed to us.
Right.
If you're not following that prescription that I spoke about earlier in Genesis, then everything else you tell me, I'm going to look at you kind of funny. People are like, hey, you know what? I'm supposed to get these. What about these supplements and these different things? And I'm like, well, nature didn't make any pill patches or it didn't make any supplement rivers. So they are, by definition, supplements only when you're not getting it, but you should be getting it. So use it as a supplement, but learn how to get nutrients from your food. And I think when we start to just focus on some of the basics and listen, because unfortunately, there are people that say exactly what you said too. Like, I know my body. I know my body better than you. And I'm like, well, what does your pancreas do? What does your kidney do? Can you point to your liver? What does it do? I mean, and there's a lot of things people do not know about themselves that I say, yeah, I know your body better than you. But there is this illusion that we know enough. And that's that ego that gets in the way and that stops us from taking in more information. We got to let that go. We got to let that go because me, myself, I'm very, I share the information I gather. And I'm not going to share anything that I feel is going to be harmful at all. That's not I'm not sharing. I've been had my products for a while, but I share it here and there, but I'm not out here knocking on doors or always every time you turn around like, hey, buy my drink, buy my cleanse program, buy my, tools. I'm not like that. But if you need something to be able to help you out, then I have some things that I can share with you. Otherwise, I'm good to be able to tell you about other people that have nice restaurants, that have good food, have a nice cleansing program. Because I've tried so much in my timeline. So it behooves individuals to be open to listen to individuals that are passionate and has put in the time, because your newfound knowledge of 2 years is not going to trump someone that's been at it and studying for decades, so we got to start just being open to have conversation and being to give people enough respect to say, hey, listen, they put in the work. I remember because one of the persons that I used to love studying about and was Dr. Sebi. And when he was here, when he first came around, a lot of people didn't know anything about it. I used to share information. I used to hear all the negative comments they'd say about that. And it was just so funny. And this was early on when he started to get into the scene. Now that he has made his mark and now he has transitioned, people are now coming around and saying this and saying that and throwing his name around. And it's really interesting because I knew that we all going to get to this point of understanding that you need food to make change, and that's just it. You need food to make change. And one of the things that I am really candid about at times is that I say that if you never ask a fish never ask a bird how to swim. Right. Or you wouldn't ask a fish how to fly. Right. So when it comes to the demographics, people that I really focus attention on, people of color, we have to get to a point that you're not looking for a person that doesn't have color to tell you how to maintain your color, because they don't have the color to be able to maintain. And there are things that you need to do to maintain the color. And then we supposed to be, and everybody's supposed to be exchanging their information. Right. So we got to start taking the onus and definitely know about our body that we need to do some things to be able to maintain the color, and then therefore share that information and take in information from other ethnicities, because we all the human race, but learning is very interesting, because what you think 5 years from now, it might be something totally different, or you might just enhance it. But life is all about learning, all about learning. If you're not learning, if you know the same thing you knew 5 years ago, you wasted a lot of time. Yeah, you're right. You are absolutely right. Woo! I tell you, man, you got me. I feel like I can go out and run 5 miles. I'm so hyped right now. And I love this. And this is, us coming together like this
is a demonstration of what you're saying. Like some people may look at it as me connecting with you being a conflict of interest because I'm a health and wellness coach too. But I know that there are things, like I said earlier, you have street creds, you have, all these years of, just experience and activation in your field, right? So
Right.
I know that I can learn so much more from you and others like you. And that's what we have to understand is that what's for you is for you, right? And what's for me is for me. And that doesn't mean that if I share with you, you're going to take away from me.
Of
No,
course. Yes.
but that's one of the things that I believe in our community, we have to kind of get over that too.
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's understood though that we are survival type of people, and we've been through a lot of challenges. So a
yeah,
lot of things I kind of understand, and I don't buy into it a lot, at all. I understand it enough to be able to say that, man, I just get what I got. That's all I could do. I can get what I got, and if you feel offended by it or if you feel threatened by it, that's not on me, because I'm not trying to take anything from you. And if I can support you in any way, I remember one of my brothers, I saw him out here training. I was like, man, what you do? He's like, yeah, I got a training place out here on the South Side, yada, yada, yada. I was like, cool. I'm all about networking. And then he turned around and gave me a big shout out because I had a client to call me and say, hey, listen, do you know anybody that can train? I said, where you live? I just met this brother. Looked like he has a nice little thing going on. Hey, go check him out. She was looking to come train with me, but I'm like, hey, I wanted to make this convenient for you so you can make sure that you can be in the area, because sometimes that traveling distance is people's
right. That can
excuses.
be a
So
factor.
it's I'm gonna be good because I'm gonna have I got so many other things going on, and I
Yeah,
think that's where we need to start as a people. You need to be able to network and be able to build on and share, and we need to have. There's enough work or enough. What I want to say, there's a lot that needs to be accomplished,
yeah.
and we don't have enough time. So never feel threatened, and man, just be genuine about what you do.
That's it. Be genuine. Ah, I love it. Well, we're about to come to a close. I just wanted to ask you, is there anything else that you feel that you would like to get across to our viewers or anyone that someone may share this with? Is there anything about this current climate of things that's happening? Any words of encouragement? Anything that you would like to add before we close?
Oh, with this current climate, I think that one of the things I find empowering is to kind of get involved and kind of look at what's going on and trying to really not overthink things, but at least think about things and
Yeah,
be open to conversations. You can have your perspective, definitely. You can have your perspective, your ideas, but be open to other perspectives and ideas if there's some basis behind it.
right.
So, and what I mean by that, sometimes people say, hey, sure, well, you should be open to other perspectives and ideas. I say, well, provide me with a perspective or idea. And if you can do that, that means if I ask you a question, you should be able to defend it. If you can't defend it, you don't really have perspectives then. You're just throwing out something that you heard. So, and
Yes.
vice versa. For me too, I need to be
Yeah.
able to give some sort of rationale as to why. And I think that's how we have good conversations. We learn
Right.
by sitting out, having good respectful conversation. So I really encourage that, let people share knowledge. Let's throw some things out here and understand, because everything that we think is happening is not.
Right.
We
Yeah.
are in a matrix, believe that or not. We are,
Yeah.
everything that you think is taking place is not, and we need to look at that. There are people that are not so good people that are trying to leverage situations or any
Absolutely.
situation that's happened. And
Absolutely.
especially people of color, we need to understand that. We
Yeah.
can't come from a time period of being enslaved for 400 years and not think that things are going to, or think that things are going to always be in our favor when we live in a world that's so impartial, and
Mhm.
but it's changing. So I
Yeah.
think that one of the encouraging things is to remind people the world is changing, but it
Yeah.
will not change if you do not provide any change to yourself. Other than that, if you're not changing, don't expect this world to change. But if you're changing, know that the world is changing. One of the things that I really try to remind people, and this is with the platform of Simple and Good, is that knowledge is very easy to gain if you want it. To be able to learn about the body, it's really not that hard. A fifth grader can tell you a whole lot about the body, you know, and you can teach it very early on. The unfortunate part about this is that it's not a discussion that we have on a consistent basis. So I have been consistently studying about how the body works, how food interacts with the body, how medicine interacts with the body, and how to be able to use what the universe has provided for us to be able to just be better individuals in our function and our thought process and our movement. And that knowledge is not hard to acquire. So I think when individuals try to challenge on a medical side, you know, you can have that, you know, you can have that, but I can go and share some medical information, but I'm not trying to overtalk anyone or, you know, I'm not trying to out-talk you with terms, because my whole platform is keeping it simple. So with that in mind, you know, I have much to share. My website is a great place to start, thesimpleandgoodenterprise.com. It's just a lot of things on there. I do have my body wedge, which my tool is on Amazon. I do have that out there. I'm gonna have a holistic lifestyle program called the Wood Challenges. That's gonna be coming out soon. And I also, I'm going to have like my nutritional products out there so people can visibly see. A lot of people don't really know what all that I have because I haven't been sharing it like that. But I'm trying to package up things so that when you do come into my circle, there's a one-stop shop, and that you can walk away with a lot to be able to at least have a foundation, and you can build your house on that. You can build the walls on that foundation any way you want, but I am more focused on making sure that you have a strong foundation to build on. If you want a dome-shaped house, a square house, a huge castle, many walls, little wall, color, you do what you want. But I am focused on foundational principles that you can build on. So, you know, I'm easy to find on LinkedIn or on the social media, Facebook. I have several Instagram pages and don't use any. So I'm gonna change that. You know, it's on my to-do list. I got probably about 5 Instagram pages I need to use. You know, so I'll be a little bit more visible there. But the information I have, you know, it's out there. You know, you can tap into it. I'm always sharing. I'm always sharing. So definitely, if you want to challenge it, challenge it. But like I say, I really try to make sure I don't put things out there as too debatable. It's just all about perspective.
Got it. Well, I will be continuing to follow you, and I encourage anyone and everyone who's watching or viewing this video while we're here, because I can't see who's here with us or afterwards, to tap into Sherwood's circle of information or his platform of information. And boy, does he have a lot, but it's all good and it's good for you. And yeah, you will definitely see results. Okay, I've seen his videos, testimonies, you will see results. And like I said, he has the experience and definitely, like I said earlier, the street cred. So I just
and with that in mind, I got to give a shout out to a lot of my clients, and you know, they have provided a lot of great testimonials, and you know, they have moved on and have always built on the information. That's why I really take passion with the knowledge or the information I share, because majority of my clients just add to it and they build on it, helps them to grow. And that's what I'm talking about, that house that you build on top of it. So, you know, I got to give a shout out to them because they have helped me to grow, and they helped me to learn what I need to say and not say. And I'm still working on things, you know.
I'm still working on that too.
Yeah. So cool. I appreciate the time that you took. I look forward to the next time that we have
Yes,
conversations.
it's
So let
definitely
me
going to
know.
be another time because I mean, I believe that after this and the way, like I said, the climate is, you're going to have so much more to share with us. And
Yeah,
I will
yeah, yeah.
I'll definitely tap back in with you.
Yeah,
So,
speaking of that, let me just say this real quick.
okay,
I will, for the month of, because I'm almost about done with sharing thoughts about this virus. So
okay,
for the month of May, I'll be focusing on solutions, strictly on solutions. And so I'll be having some, free sessions of workouts,
okay,
Facebook Live,
all right,
to get people just to moving. I'll
okay,
be sharing just some, some very, I want to say, thought out processes to be able to be more functional in
okay,
movement. So I'll be sharing that under the Move Like Gods platform.
all right,
And I'll be doing that. And then I do plan to start a podcast too. I'm gonna actually dust off my What You Got to Lose platform and share some information, on particular topics. So look out for those things in the month
okay.
of May.
Whew, man, when do you sleep?
I don't. Actually, in the mornings. In the mornings, I sleep. I stay in late all the time.
Okay. All right. So Sherwood's website is www.simpleandgood.enterprise. And like he said, you can find him on Instagram. You have your Facebook page. So you all just tap into this wealth of information, this
Mhm.
awesome, awesome man.
Yeah.
Sherwood,
Thank
thank
you.
you for your
Appreciate that.
time. And I just pray God's blessings on you, that everything that you continue to put your hands to prosper, okay?
Appreciate that. Thank you. I accept that.
Yes, yes.
You
So thank
also. You also.
you. Thank you all for joining us here at Pathways to Your Vibrant Health. I am your vibrant health and wellness coach, Linda Howard, lighting the path to a brighter and healthier life. We'll see you later, and I'll tap back in with you another time. Bye-bye. Bye, Sherwood.
Bye bye.